Hello students, good morning and welcome to Mehta PG College Online Study Portal. And today, before starting the video, I would like to request you that if you hadn't subscribed the channel yet, then please go and subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for future notifications so that you never miss any another update from us. And today this is the lecture second recorded for BSc first year physics, paper first mechanics, although it is for the unit first, but it is been recorded for the chapter second here. So I welcome you all to this session, and let's start the session. And before starting, if you are new here, then consider subscribing and supporting us, and give us a thumbs up as an appreciation, and we will try harder and harder to provide you new and vast content with ease of knowledge so that you can learn new topics from yourself. Okay, so let's begin with the topic here. Well, the previous lecture, for the lecture first, we have talked about the concept of pseudo forces and the rotating frame of reference. And now today we will talk about another concept to enhancing our knowledge, and that is the concept of Coriolis force. Okay, so let's begin with the concept here. So first of all, let me talk about that. What is the Coriolis force? Well, there is a concept associated with the Coriolis force that has been discussed in the previous lecture, but I would like to repeat it so that the newcomers who are just starting with this lecture, then they should get a clear concept to themselves. Well, in our nature, there are a lot of types of forces. Let's say these are the actual forces you meet up, and some pseudo forces. Well, this whole chapter, the chapter second, the chapter second is all about the pseudo forces. So you can consider yourself that the Coriolis force may be a pseudo force here, but it is not need to be a pseudo force. So okay, let's talk about it in details, saying that it is a pseudo force here. So the Coriolis force, in sense, the pseudo force is like saying that the push or pull in another inertial frame in non-inertial frame. In non-inertial frame, well, this is a pretty much clear example of the pseudo forces, and the actual forces, you can say the force which are can be termed as the push or pull. Okay, so these are the push or pull that is being felt in a non-inertial frame, and these are push or pulls that can be felt everywhere. For this actual sense of forces, for the actual forces, the force which has been acting, that can be seen by your eyes, and you will get a reason that how and why these forces are acting to you. But the pseudo forces are that for these forces there is no one to apply forces, and you got a question there that how does these forces are acting to you and how these things are happening here. Also one more example here, saying that the example of action and reaction, or you can say the reaction for every action. You know that the reaction force is need not to be there. Well, you will get to know that there is no one to apply the reaction force, but the reaction force is being applied there. For example, let's say if you are pushing something to a direction, let's say for example, yes, let's take an example saying that if you are moving to a direction, let's say this is the direction in which you are moving with your car. Okay, this is a car here. Well, I'm not so good at drawing, so imagine yourself. This is a car that is moving into this particular direction. For example, let's say it is moving in this direction, and when you apply brake, then what will happen here? Then what will happen? That the rotating force, the force which is rotating the tires, will suddenly choke itself. Yes, the forces got choked here, and then the ground. Then the ground will apply its reaction force, and what happens? That the reaction forces here. Yes, the reaction forces will be greater than the force applied by the engine. The force applied, yes, the force applied only. Okay, so the reaction forces which are reacting between the tires and the ground here, these will be larger here, so the car will be stopped here. Okay, so this is all for this reaction force here. For every action there should be a reaction exist, and the reaction force can be considered as a pseudo force because there is not any kind of region which is applying the force there. But in some sort of cases there might be some effects that causes the reaction force, and that can be seen by you. Okay. Well, apart from this, let's begin with the chapter here. Let's start with the Coriolis force. So Coriolis force is again a part of a pseudo force here. Yes, the Coriolis force. But Coriolis force is somewhat different to be said as a pseudo force. Yes, it has some differences here. It cannot be called a pseudo force clearly, in a sense. This is not just because of the reaction here. This is not any kind of a reaction, but it is something that exists between us, and that's all because of the rotation of Earth, you can say, or the frames of reference when they rotating with respect to each other. Then these types of forces acting there, like as the Coriolis force, and such kind of forces are in there. Okay, let's begin with the main topic here. This is only explanation, which is something to be understand. This is not to be considered for your notes or anything like that. Our main subjective topic is the Coriolis force that has been written here. Okay, so let's start explaining it. That what is the Coriolis force here? Okay, so before going to the Coriolis force, I would like to give you a clear suggestion that how this Coriolis force exists between us, and well, you know that this force will exist this force will exist due to, yes, this force will exist due to rotation of Earth. Yes, since the Earth is rotating, then these kind of forces will act. So how this force can be seen yourself, that what will happen when these kind of forces get applied there? What are the experimental evidence? Yes, we need some experimental evidence that how does these all things happens to us, and how these kinds of forces are acting in there. This is not only a theoretical concept, but it has some practical evidence also. Let's say the evidence saying that let's say this is the Earth here. Okay, yes, this is Earth, somewhat this is Earth. Okay, so if any observer is here, well, I need a clear observer here. And when any particular object is being tossed to here, and this object, let's say a ball here, okay, let's see, this is a ball here, but if the distance is very much, for short distances it can be filled, it will give you some little aspects, and as so little aspects that you cannot even get them. Yes, there will be some lack of sense and lack of experimental evidences there, but for much height there, if the height is higher this time, then you can feel these forces existing between you. It should come back to the same direction. Let's say it should come back here, but what actually happens, it travels somewhat a distance irregular from its actual position where it was subjected to be, and this distance will occur due to only a thing that is called the Coriolis force, and this is one of the most amazing. This is one of the most amazing evidence for the experimental evidence for the Coriolis force here. Okay, so let's begin with the topic here, and we got some mathematical knowledge, and then we will enhance our experimental knowledge too here. Let's say this we have two rotating frames here. Let's say one is the stationary frame, and the stationary frame, let's say, have axis the x axis, the y axis, and the z axis, and let's say the origin at O. Okay. Also, let's term it as the S, saying as the stationary frame or the primary frame of reference here. Again, we got a frame of reference here, which is the rotating frame, saying this is the axis x dash here, and this is the axis y dash here, and another one axis like saying that this is the axis z dash here, and both of these frame has origin at the same point. And let's say this is the frame of reference, term it as the R here, because this S is for stationary and R is for the rotating frame of reference. Okay, so the R frame is the rotating frame here. Well, every time when you got the concept of inclined frame of reference, well, this is not inclined here, got the words that this is a rotating frame of reference here. This is the stationary frame here, and this one is the rotating frame. Well, there is a little difference between the inclined reference frame and the rotating frame here. For the inclined reference frame, this angle, which angle is being termed as theta here, this is constant for inclined frame of reference. But for the rotating frame of reference, this angle will be no longer constant here, but this angle will keep on varying with respect to time. Whenever the time changes, the angle will keep on increasing or increasing or increasing, and after some time this will reach to the pi value, and again the 2 pi, then say 3 pi, and this will get to go and so on. Okay. So, let's say this is rotating, and assume yourself that if this rotating frame is rotating with angular velocity omega, yes, omega is the angular velocity here, then the distance theta here, if you remember that omega is being given by theta over t, so theta here, this is the theta here, which is the angle, so the theta would be given as omega t. Okay, so this is the omega t here, and this is the rotating angle. Okay, let's say this is the rotating angle. Okay. Sorry, I got some cold here. This is not the coronavirus, this is only the cold here, just because I am driving the bike in the early morning, so this is all happens. Let's say a point P is situated here, and this has coordinates for the stationary frame of reference. Let's say the coordinates are the x, y, and the z axis, and for the rotating frame, let's say the coordinates you say are the x dash, y dash, z dash. These are for any at instant of time. Yes, this is all for the instant of time, because we need this value to be constant so that we can calculate our aspects here. But if this value is no longer constant, then we cannot get that. Okay. So, beginning with the topic, and consider this figure in your sense. Okay, so this time the angle, we need to get this angle constant here, so that we can calculate our Coriolis force for this particular example. Let's say omega, the angular velocity is no longer constant here, but the time, if the time is constant, then we can get a value here. And this rotating frame is rotating with a constant angular velocity. The angular velocity is not changing, because we are not going to discuss about the angular acceleration here. The rotating frame is being considered as the for the example of Earth, the rotating frame can be considered as the reference frame of Earth, and we can consider our inertial frame as the stationary frame, and this is all what happens here. So, the Earth is also rotating with the constant angular velocity. This has no variation. Let us say Earth has no acceleration, but a constant angular velocity, which is about the 64,000 miles per hour, and some sort of this, but we are so much small to experience that. So, okay, so this is all happens here. Let us say the point P is here, and Let's draw the position vector for the point P here. So this is the position vector, and for the frame, stationary frame S, the position vector, let's say this is the R here, and for the rotating frame of reference, let's say the position vector is R dash here. Yes, this is the R dash vector. We got two position vectors to explain, but since the point is stationary, the position is stationary here, so you can imagine it that the frame will again got a stationary value here. Well, I think we need some more space, so let me clear this off. Okay. Okay, so for the distance for O to P, what should be the distance here? The OP vector, which is equals to R vector. This vector R vector will have value saying that the I cap x, j cap y plus k cap z. This is the equation 1 here. So this should be the value for R vector, and for R dash vector, this is the equation 1 here. Also, again this is the OP vector, and this is equals to the R dash vector. Let's say this is the I cap x dash plus j cap y dash plus k cap z dash, and this is the equation 2 here. Okay, so this is the equation 2. We got two equations which are explaining the position vector for point P in frame S here. Yes, this is in frame S here, and this is in frame R here. Okay, so these are for both the frames, saying that the OP is equals to the R vector for the stationary frame, and OP is equals to the R dash vector for the rotating frame. So we got to two value of position vectors there. Well, now we will go for the transformation equations one by one. Okay, so we will transform these equations saying that, let's say this is I cap dash, j cap dash, and k cap dash. Okay, so first we will talk about the transformation of velocity here. The transformation of velocity. So let's talk about the transformation of velocity. And so for the transformation, we got a sense here. Let's saying that this R vector is equals to the R dash vector. So you can say that R vector will be equals to I cap dash x dash plus j cap dash y dash plus k dash cap z dash. Let's say this is equation 3 here. So we got the values. This is the value for R vector. Okay, so let's talk about the transformation of velocity by now. So by transforming the velocity, we got a value saying that we are subjected to differentiate equation 3. Let's differentiate equation 3 with respect to time t here. So for the time t, we got that our values should be calculated for a subjected value or for a constant value for the time t here. We are not going to talk about saying the clock is running this much and we are going to talk about for each and every point. No. Let's say the clock is about saying that for the 12 hours, then we will calculate for particular an hour for 1 hour, and we will multiply them or summing up for summing that for about 12 hours. And if the thing is keep on going for the 24 hours and for the days, so that we can deal with all our complications, and let's take a unit here. So for this we will take t as an instant of time. Yes, this is an instant of time. This is not a varying time. Let's say this is about let's say the interval saying that about 1 hour or 2 hour in your sense. Okay, keep it to yourself and don't tell anyone else. This is your personal. Okay, so differentiating equation 3 with respect to time t by now. Okay, so we are differentiating this equation. So what we will have from this equation saying that you know that the answer, what should be the answer here? First of all, we will going to differentiate the value saying okay, this is I cap here, curly x dash over curly t plus j cap curly y dash over curly t plus k cap curly z dash over curly t plus this should be solved by u into v here. Yes, we are going to solve it as u into v. So the u have been solved and now it is time for the part v here. Okay, so let's solve it for the part v by now. This will be equals to, sorry, the plus, let's say x dash is outside and curly I cap over curly t plus y dash is here, curly j cap over curly t plus again z dash is here. So curly k cap over curly t here. So we got the value saying the transformation of velocity, let's the rate of change of displacement by now, and that is equals to the that is equals to the velocity here. Let's say this is equation 4. So now for the stationary frame S, now for the stationary frame S, the dr over dt will approach to the velocity v here, and that is equals to, so yes, this is the velocity v and this is equals to dr over dt. Well, v should be taken into consideration as a vector here. So the velocity v is equals to dr over dt and that is equals to I cap dx over dt, I cap dx over dt plus j cap dy over dt yes, these should be considered as a perfect differential plus k cap dz over dt, which is the equation 5 by now. Yes, we got the equation of velocity. Well, you got a question in your mind that why these things are taken into the partial derivative, but this particular thing is got to be taken into consideration as a perfect differential. Well, this has been considered as a perfect differential because the d here, this represent here the component of velocity associated for the whole frame of reference, saying for the frame S here, but this represents some part of the velocity at any instant of time. Yes, this is representing the part of velocity. This is not talking about the whole part of velocity or the whole velocity, no. This is only a part of velocity and this is the actual velocity associated for the frame of reference S here. Well, we got one more thing to discuss here, but we need some workspace, so we need to clear off the board, but you first take a screenshot, then I will proceed here. I hope that you are done with the screenshot, so I think that I can clear this off by now. Well, we need to consider, you need to consider the equation 4 and equation 5 in your mind, and we will use them here. And let's find out that what we will end up with. Okay, well, we need the equation 5 for longer. Similarly, the velocity of particle in reference frame R. Similarly, the velocity of particle in reference frame R is in reference frame R is, that will be equals to the V dash here, and V dash will be equals to dr dash over dt, and that is again d dash r. Yes, this should not be d dash r, but this should be equals to the dr dash over dt. This is a little misprint in your textbook. I think that you will solve it yourself, and that will be equals to I cap dash dx dash over dt plus j cap dash dy dash over dt plus k cap dash dz dash over dt, and this is the equation 6. Yes, we got the equation 5 and equation 6, where the equation 5 is the transformation of velocity for the frame S here, and equation 6 gives you the transformation of velocity for the rotating frame, saying for the frame R here. Okay, so we got two equations which are representing the transformation of velocity here, but we need to determine the value of di dash over dt, or the concepts we have talked earlier. Okay, so let's say what we have here, in order to determine the values of di cap dash dt, dj cap dash dt, and dk cap dash dt, dk cap dash dt, we have to take a unit vector r, we have to take a unit vector r in such a way that let's talk about these values in such a way, saying that the v is equals to, let's say this is the linear velocity, and that will equals to omega, which is the angular velocity, into r here. R is the unit vector here which has no directions here. Well, this goes the cross product for two vectors. I think that we no longer need equation 5 by now. Okay, so this is the v is equals to omega cross r, where v is the linear velocity, omega is the angular velocity, and r is the unit vector. So you will have here something like this. You can say that dr over dt, where r is again the radial vector, but it is associated with the unit vectors only. Omega vector cross r vector. Okay, so this is the dr vector over dt here, and let's say this is the equation 7 by now. Okay, so this is the equation 7 saying that the dr vector over dt, which is equals to omega vector cross r vector here. So if you take the component form of equation 7 in taking in forms of component, that if you remember that we have imagined that this r is imagined as a unit vector here. So this have component saying like that the di cap over dt. So the di cap over dt will be equals to, sorry, but this is the di dash cap. Okay, for the I dash, this is the vector here again, di dash vector over dt, and this will be equals to omega cross I dash vector. Okay, this is for the omega cross I dash vector. Let's say these all, and similarly in this way you will have dj dash vector over dt will be equals to omega cross j dash vector, and d k dash vector over dt is equals to omega vector cross k dash vector. And these all equations, let's say these all equations are the equation 8 here. These are all three equations. Okay, so this is what you have to subject it to calculate. Let's say the particle velocity for the reference frame r here and the velocity for the reference frame s. We have calculated those, and those are pretty much easier for us to calculate because we just have to put the values and get the results here. But this time we are subjected to find out the values for di dash over dt, dj dash over dt, and for the unit vectors in a sense. So let's we assume another unit vector saying the vector r here. This could be represented in such a way: the velocity v is equals to the angular velocity omega into the unit vector r. And for these writing this equation 7, so we end up having this equation 7, and writing this equation again in the component form we will have the equation 8 here. Okay, so take a screenshot yourself and then we will proceed for further here. Okay, so hope that you are done with the screenshot here. Well, we do not need this figure any longer. Okay, so get this as a workspace here. Well, okay. So this is it, and for this you remember that the figure here, for this we consider that the position vector is same. Let's say the r vector that is equals to the r dash vector. I am talking about the small r vector here. Okay, I hope that you remember that this r vector was equals to this r dash vector at any instant of time t. At any instant of time t. Okay, so for this instant of time you remember that the x is equals to the x dash axis. The value of y will be approached to the y dash, and the value of z may approach to the z dash, and certainly they got some relation between them. Okay, so these all have the values different, but the r vector should be considered as the r dash vector because both of these are lying in the same plane here. Okay, so we have to substitute the equation 6 in equation 4. Well, this is the equation 6 here, and we will substitute this equation in the equation 4, and for the equation 4, if you remember the equation 4 was saying that the dr dash over the dt, in which we got the value saying that the I dash dx dash over dt and all those values there. So let's substitute this value for the equation 4. If you remember the equation 4, and if you don't, then go and check out your screenshots in which the equation 4 is been discussed. And let's say by putting the values here, substituting the value from equation 6 to equation 4. What will happen when you substitute the value from equation 6 to equation 4? Well, the thing happens here is the dr vector over dt will be equals to dr dash vector over dt plus omega vector cross omega vector cross I cap x dash sorry again, this is the I dash cap x dash j dash cap y dash plus k dash cap z dash. Okay, so this is the values here, and this will have omega cross r dash, or you may say it as the r vector here, because the r vector and r dash vector were the same here. We have assumed this. So let's say this is equation 9 by now. Okay, so this is the equation 9 here, or in some sense you can say that the velocity v, yes, this is the dr over dt here. So the velocity transformation is saying that the velocity vector v will be equals to the v dash vector plus omega cross r vector. Okay, so this is the transformation equation here. This is the transformation of velocity from the frame S to the rotating frame R, or also you can say that this v dash will equals to v vector minus omega vector cross r vector. Okay, so this is what we are subjected to end up with, and let's say this is the equation 10, and this equation 10 is the equation of transformation of velocity. Well, this is the equation of transformation of velocity of particle in reference frame R. Equation of transformation of velocity in frame R. Okay, so this is what we are subjected to end up with. So you got the transformation of velocity, and now this is our time to calculate the transformation of acceleration. Well, let me give you a brief introduction here. This is what I think that you got the equation 8 very well, and after this equation we have to assume that we know that this r vector is supposed to be equal to the r dash at any instant of time t, and then we substitute the value from equation 6 to the equation 4. The equation 4 in which we got a relation, the simplest relation of the r dash vector there. So this is the dr vector over dt, that is equals to dr dash vector over dt plus omega cross this value. Okay. Substituting this value, let's say this is equals to the vector r here, so dr dash over dt. So this will become, this value is saying this value is the velocity of the velocity in frame S here. Yes, this is for the velocity in frame S, and this value is for the velocity in frame R here, and this is the angular velocity, and this is the radial vector again. Okay, so we got the transformation of velocity in frame S to the velocity in frame R, and by this equation we got the transformation for the frame R to the frame S. So this is what we are subjected to calculate, and I hope that you got the calculation very well. So let me be aside, you can take a screenshot for your reference, and then we will proceed further. Hope that you are done with the screenshot. So let's move up to the transformation of acceleration by now. So let's transform the acceleration for this particular value, and I think that I should clear this off. We do not need it any longer here, because this is the transformation of velocity, and let's talk about the transformation of acceleration. Well, Coriolis force is pretty much similar to the concept of centrifugal force there, because centrifugal force is somewhat, the centrifugal or centripetal force is somewhat the forces that is been existing because of the rotation of any body, and the Coriolis force is the same concept. This is also exists because of the rotation of a body. Well, let's talk about them. We will talk about them different again and again, and differentiate in between the centrifugal force, the centripetal force, and the Coriolis force. Okay. So let's move on to the example saying the transformation of acceleration. Yes, by now we are talking about the transformation of going to the transformation of acceleration, we need a value from the transformation of velocity. Okay, according to the velocity transformation, so according to the velocity transformation, what do we have? We have that dr over dt is equals to d dash r over dt plus omega cross r vector. Okay, so the operator here now the operator d over dt is equals to d dash over dt plus omega and something in cross. Okay, this is not x here, but this is for the cross here. Okay, so this is for the cross by now. Okay, let's say this is the operator equation. Let's say this is equation 1 here. Okay, so we got the operator equation here. So the acceleration of particle in reference frame S is, yes, now we will talk about the acceleration here. Now the acceleration of particle in frame, acceleration of particle in frame S is, let's say this is the A vector here, and that will be equals to the d by dt of dr by dt here. So the time derivative of velocity vector, and that is equals to d by dt of so we will use this d by dt value here. This operator we are going to use here, that is equals to the d dash over dt plus omega cross something into the operator should be applied on dr over dt. So this value is being applied here. Let's say this is the d dash r vector over dt plus omega cross r vector. Okay, so this should be applied here in this way, and applying this value in this way, what we will have, well, we got the transformation of acceleration saying as that the A vector will be equals to d2r over dt square, and this d2r over dt square will be equals to d dash square over r d dash square over dt square r vector plus omega, this has been applied here, plus d dash omega here. Let's solve this. We are not going for step by step calculation here. So let's say this is equals to d square d dash square over r dt square plus 2 omega plus d dash r over dt plus omega cross d dash r over dt plus omega cross r here. Okay, so this is all what we get here, where omega is assumed to be constant, therefore d omega, omega is constant, so that's why the d dash omega over dt will be equals to the 0 here. So that's why we do not take the derivative of angular velocity omega, because the angular acceleration has no values here, because every time when the earth is rotating there should exist only the linear acceleration. The angular acceleration is not possible in the Coriolis-Horst concept here. Okay, so this is the value for acceleration here. I think that you got the values here. Okay, so omega is assumed to be constant, therefore what we will have? We will have the value saying the a vector is equals to, so this time what is this means? This means the a dash vector plus 2 omega as well with no indentation here, plus 2 omega vector cross v vector here. This is the v vector here. I think that this should go across here. Sorry, this is not plus here, this got a cross here. This is the cross multiplication of the vectors saying the velocity vector and the displacement vector. This is the angular velocity vector, this is the linear velocity vector, plus omega cross r here. Okay, so this is the linear, this is the acceleration actual, this is the actual value of acceleration, the transformation of acceleration. Let's say this is the equation 1 and this is equation 2 here. So we got two values saying this is the linear acceleration, the acceleration which is mapped from frame of reference S to the frame of reference R here, but we are subjected to map the acceleration for the frame of reference R and to the frame of reference S. So let's find out that how we will going to express these. Okay, so this is the whole value of acceleration here, and we are going to discuss the component form. Let's say the component by component. Let's say this is the a vector is equals to d2r vector over dt square, and this is the acceleration in frame of reference S here, and this a dash vector that is equals to d dash square vector r over dt square, and this is equals to the acceleration in frame of reference S dash here. Okay, so this is for the frame of reference S dash by now. Okay, so this is for the frame of reference S, this is for the frame of reference S dash, and what does this value equals to? Well, this value will be the centripetal acceleration here. Omega vector cross r vector, this should be termed as the centripetal acceleration, and the remaining value here, yes, this is the remaining value, which is 2 omega cross v vector. So this 2 omega cross v vector is the Coriolis acceleration of particle. This is the v dash vector, sorry, not the v vector here, because this is d dash. Okay, this is the Coriolis acceleration. The Coriolis acceleration in the frame R. Okay, so this is the Coriolis acceleration. This is what we are subjected to come up with, and I hope that you got the transformation equation here. We are subjected to end up with this result, and these are the components, and this is the main component. These two are the main components which we should discuss for our explanation. I hope that you got these concepts here, and now we will going to discuss the actual value of Coriolis force. We got the Coriolis acceleration here, and let's get the transformation of force, and then we will got the transformation value for the Coriolis force. Okay, so let me be aside, you can take a screenshot for your reference, and then we will proceed further for our explanation. Well, this is the value here, this is equation 2. This is for the mapping of acceleration for the frame S to the frame R here. But what if we are subjected to map our acceleration from frame R to the frame S? We simply do what we do. We said that this A dash vector will be equals to A vector minus 2 omega vector cross V dash vector plus omega vector cross R vector here. Okay, so this is the value of acceleration here. Okay, so this is what the result which you are subjected to come up with. So this whole calculation here which is mentioned here, and this is the transformation of acceleration, and with some little bit of theory explanation like that, saying that explaining these terms, you will gonna get a full marks if you've been asked for the transformation of acceleration for the Coriolis force, and this is the expression what you are subjected to come up with. Hope you are done with the screenshot. So let's proceed further for the transformation of force here. Okay, so let's talk about the transformation of force by now. Okay, so let's talk about the transformation of force by now. Okay, so the transformation of force. So what should be the value for the transformation of force for this? And what we will have, let's say we got the equation here, the equation of transformation of acceleration. Let's say from the multiplying let's say from the equation of transformation of acceleration the A dash vector was equals to A vector minus 2 omega cross V dash vector plus omega cross R vector. Okay, so this is the transformation equation of acceleration. Now multiplying above equation by the mass of the particle, by the mass of the particle. Let's say the mass is small m here. So what we will have an equation saying the m A dash vector, and this is equals to the m A vector minus 2m omega vector cross V dash vector plus omega vector, this is the cross product here, cross, let's say this is the m here, so m omega vector cross r vector. So the values here will be this m a dash vector, let's say this is the value saying the f dash vector, because the force should be termed as the basic definition of force, saying that is equals to the mass into acceleration. Okay, so this f dash vector is equals to f vector minus 2m omega vector cross r vector, and again minus, this is again a minus here, minus m omega vector cross omega vector cross r vector. Okay, so let's say this is equation 1 here, because we need only this one equation to explain. So this equation gives you the transformation of force, and the force is termed in the different ways, saying that this is the f dash is the force applied in the frame r, which is the rotating frame here, and this force F has been applied to the stationary frame, the frame S, which is the stationary frame of reference here, and this 2m omega cross v dash, and this is the transformation in the acceleration transformation. If you remember that this has been termed as the Coriolis acceleration. So by now multiplying with the force, the Coriolis acceleration multiplied with the mass of the particle, you will end up having a value which has been which has been termed as the Coriolis force here, and this is again the centripetal force here. So we got the values of forces here, saying that the here F dash is the force applied. Let's say here that F dash is the force applied in the frame R, F is the force applied in the frame S, and this value here, this is the main value which we are subjected to calculate here, and this is the Coriolis force, this minus 2m omega cross v dash vector is the Coriolis force subjected to the particle of mass m and to both of the reference frame acting on a particle in frame R here. Coriolis force acting on the particle in frame R, and now the remaining is this one, which is m omega vector omega vector cross R vector, and for this value this particular value will have, that is the centrifugal force. Yes, this is the and the centrifugal force certainly will exert in the both of the frame of reference, saying that the frame of reference S here, from the frame S to the frame R. So this is all what happens for this the centrifugal force here. I hope that you got the concept of the forces here. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to discuss here, and this is the Coriolis force. Well, here is some factors which has been associated with the Coriolis force here, that you can question us that why this has been taken as negative here. This is the negative. The negative means here the negative sign is just because the resemblance, because of the mapping here, the mapping which is been taken for the frame of reference R to the frame of reference S here. Okay, so also this Coriolis force is also a fictitious force here. Yes, this is the fictitious force, or you can say that this as a pseudo force here. Yes, this is again a pseudo force, because the Coriolis force is not acting in the real practical, but it can be felt. You can got its effect when it has been acting upon on any kind of particle, or the particle of mass m, and for the rotating frame R here. Okay, so this is all for it, and I hope that you got the concept very well. And now we will talk about some certain concepts which have been associated with the Coriolis force here. First you take a screenshot, then we will go for the concepts step by step. I think that I should clear this off because we need some workspace here. Okay, so let's talk about the concepts which has been associated with this Coriolis force here. So the concept which has been associated with the Coriolis force here are the concepts saying that if theta is the angle between, omega and v dash, then let's say this is the Fc as the Coriolis force, then Coriolis force will be equals to minus 2m, and this is the cross product, and you know that the cross product extension for vector multiplication will be equals to the sine of theta multiplication of them to the product of their magnitude and with the sine of theta extension here. Okay, so this is the minus 2m omega v dash sine of theta, and we get a vector, unit vector saying the vector n cap, which is showing you the direction, saying the direction is normal to the surface and normal to the face where the force is been acted upon. Okay, so this is it. The Fc is equals to minus 2m omega v dash sine of theta n cap here. Okay, so this is the Coriolis force here. So when the force will be minimum and what will be the maximum value of the force? Okay, let's talk about the maxima here. The Fc maximum, the maximum value should be equals to this. Yes, at when theta is equals to 90 degree and sine of theta will approach to 1 here. Sorry, not. Yes, the sine of theta will approach to 1. When the force has been acting perpendicular to the direction of the rotating frame, then the force will be maximum here. And when it will be minimum? Let's say the Fc4 minimum here, it will be, let's say the Fc4 minimum here, and it will be minimum, the minimum value will be 0 here because we are talking about the magnitude form. And for this, this is the minimum value here, which is the 0 here. Okay, so this is it. And the minimum value, when the value will be minimum, when theta is very small, or you can say that theta is equals to 0 degree, then sine of theta will be equals to 0 here. Okay, so this is the values here. Well, the minus sign here doesn't indicate something, let's say saying that if it is been taken into consideration as a magnitude. No, the minus sign doesn't give you the concept of magnitude here, because we also subjected to explain direction n cap here. The minus sign gives you that the Coriolis force has been acting upon in a reverse order force. Yes, this is not going to the same order in which your regular force has been applied, but it can be considered that it has been acting upon in the reverse order at which your force has been applied. Okay, so we got the two values here for the maximum value of Coriolis force and for the minimum value of Coriolis force. I hope that you got the concept here pretty much well, and if you are going to discuss these concepts also, then I told you that you will got full marks for this explanation, and I recommend you to get up to these results here. Okay, so if you get up to these results, and you will then award it with the full marks here. Okay, let me be aside. You can take a screenshot for your reference, and then we will end up our lecture here. I hope that you got all the concepts for this lecture here. This lecture has been all about the Coriolis force. I hadn't used any another topic here to explain, because I thought that this one is the most considerable topic here. So I was thought that you should get all the concept, the brief knowledge of the concept here. And this is all for the today's lecture, for the lecture second here. And thank you very much for all the viewers who are watching this video. Sorry, if you are watching this video, and if you are new here, then please consider to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon, so that you will never miss another update from our study portal. And this is all for today's videos, and you can give a thumbs up if you learn something new from this video. Thank you very much again for watching this video, and have a good day and a happy learning. And this is the Mehta PG College online study portal signing off.